Hi, and welcome to Serenity Now, a place for entrepreneurs to ask questions, learn, get connected, and be inspired. Join us as we talk about all things business and the search for the ever-elusive Serenity Now in both business and personal life. In this episode, Dugan Selkirk of Community Futures speaks with Serenity sister Rita Kim and discusses a program that many entrepreneurs are not aware of.
Our program offers it's an investment readiness support and training for people, anyone that identifies as having an ongoing physical or mental health challenge.
Does this sound familiar to you? Learn what Community Future provides if you are eligible.
The term entrepreneurship is almost a mental health diagnosis, and if not on its own, it certainly exacerbates a lot of this typical mental health challenges from anxiety, depression, OCD, ADD, and a lot of the work that we do is specifically in investment readiness. So rather than being a lending or granting body on our own, what we do is help with business planning, financial projections, marketing plans, etc., to help the entrepreneur to become investment ready, either for debt financing, equity financing, whatever piece of financing is right for the business.
Why did this program resonate with Dugan? An injury helped him better understand the challenges that others, including entrepreneurs, face, and he's not alone.
Yeah, if I want to give some details here, when the hockey players started coming out about their concussions, Sidney Crosby and Eric Lindros, that was when I first realized for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, this is what's wrong with me.
Right, because you just keep going. You don't even talk about it. And
what does Serenity sister Rita Kim feel is the best part of this program?
You touched on something really important there, Dugan, is that, you know, the coaching and training part is so important because you don't know what you don't know. So how does an entrepreneur that has no experience in the world of social media or website design, how do they hire somebody when they don't even know what questions to ask? So this part is really imperative in building that foundation and then moving forward. So you give them some tools, some knowledge, some of the language, even translating those words that they might not know. What does that mean? And then you go forward.
Throughout COVID and now as we approach pandemic recovery, there are a lot of different challenges that have surfaced for entrepreneurs. Programs like this are built for those who self-identify with a mental or physical challenge. This definition is a lot broader than what I expected. Take a listen, as the resources provided in this program may give you the business guidance that you seek.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Serenity Now. I'm very excited about today's episode. We've got a fun and great colleague of mine joining us today, Dugan Selkirk, from Community Futures, the Entrepreneurs with Disability Program. Welcome, Dugan.
Hi, Rita. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Great. So I thought we'd share a little bit about how we met so you can understand a little bit more about the program through our story. So Dugan, why don't you launch in and how we met?
Oh boy, that was a very exciting evening at the Small Business BC Awards Gala. I think that was the very last time that people actually got together, and there was like 1,000 people in a room.
Whoa, imagine that again, right?
It almost feels like swearing. So there we were at this black tie event, seated next to each other, and yeah, we're both, outgoing, interesting people, and so we just started chatting about, our missions in life. Now, I think that I recruited you, Rita.
Unbeknownst to myself, I was just enjoying some nice glasses of wine, the company, not realizing what this guy was doing and scoping me out, I guess. So I, at the end of the night, after quite a few laughs and enjoying the inspiring stories of all the entrepreneurs, we kind of said, so what do you actually do? And so, Dugan, you shared with me that you help entrepreneurs and you do some funding
based on needs and something to do with the word disability. So I said, Dugan, help me define what that means. So do you want to share what you had said?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, our program offers it's an investment readiness support and training for people, anyone that identifies as having an ongoing physical or mental health challenge. Um,
And how do you define that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't define it actually. The good news is, so if our clients check a box saying that they struggle with, visible or invisible challenges, that's enough for us. And you know, we came up with this, understanding pretty early. I did in the program, that the term entrepreneurship is almost a mental health diagnosis, and if not on its own, it certainly exacerbates a lot of this typical mental health challenges from anxiety, depression, OCD, ADD. It really can flare up those issues, and really the mind of the entrepreneur is one that already doesn't jive with the status quo. They want to do it their way. They want to change the world. So pretty quickly into this thing, I realized, wow, this could be really big, right? And further on as we sort of went, we started to understand that Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett all could have qualified for our program. So, I tell that story, and anyone who's an entrepreneur laughs because they get it, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're taking mental or physical health concerns very seriously, but in order for us to be able to move things forward, we do try, I guess, as humans to make slight light of it. But I also concurred with Dugan, and I said, basically, you're describing every single entrepreneur. So every entrepreneur should be able to work with you in your program, Dugan, get the checks ready, and let's start cutting them and moving people forward.
I do agree with you there. However, we should be clear, we don't fund the entrepreneurs directly. We fund supports and training to help them overcome challenges. And a lot of the work that we do is specifically in investment readiness. So rather than being a lending or granting body on our own, what we do is help with business planning, financial projections, marketing plans, etc., to help the entrepreneur to become investment ready, either for debt financing, equity financing, whatever piece of financing is right for the business. So there is now Community Futures sort of big picture is a lender. They have their own lending funds, and they serve the rural communities traditionally. So I'm kind of an outlier in this program, as I'm the sole urban-facing business advisor. So we have there's lots of ways to help. So for entrepreneurs that are looking at scaling up production facilities or what have you, obviously the cost of operating in the urban center is often unsustainable. So we have pathways into other communities and pathways to financing through the local Community Futures offices. And then in the urban center, we have relationships with some developmental lenders. We work closely with Van City. They're a very values-aligned organization. I'm also the business advisor for Rise Asset Development, who's they're a charity-funded lender. They're now a national program. So we do kind of microfinance and startup loans through Rise, and their mandate is working with people, recovering from mental health and addiction issues. So really, there's a fair bit of cross-pollination between the two programs. Yeah, so there is funding available. Yeah, and we kind of help you get it.
Perfect. Thank you, Dugan, for sharing the cross-collaboration, the fact that you won't cut the check immediately, but maybe perhaps with a few people. So I have to ask that question. That's what I do for a living. So Dugan, one other piece that I wanted to help people and our audience know about you is that you connect very closely with this program on several levels, both as an entrepreneur and someone who has experienced some challenges that we were talking about. Dugan, are you okay to share a little bit more?
Okay, yeah, sure, of course.
Jeez.
I guess that's how we got to be friends. I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. It's pretty tough to not know what I'm feeling at any moment. Yeah, I mean, I am like I have the entrepreneurial mind. I was, yeah, I've been in self-employed or in startups my whole career. I've just been drawn to that early stage, that really, making something out of nothing, really wanting to make changes, right? Like, as an entrepreneur, you identify a problem and try and solve it. And, and in a lot of cases, it's a problem that you've come through and now want to give back and help people to overcome that as well. And that's sort of the roots of entrepreneurship for a lot of people. And so for me, yeah, I've got the baseline condition for sure. And then, I used my entrepreneurial career, really was just to fund my athletic career. So I was an adventure sports, person for a couple of decades. And that resulted in more than one concussion. I mean, lots of broken bones and stuff too. But it was the brain injuries that really affected me, and they're a subtle foe. And they're different for everybody. For me, they kind of fractaled out into sort of long-term complications with my mental health, and physical health as well. Yeah, if I want to give some details here, when the hockey players started coming out about their concussions, at Sidney Crosby and Eric Lindros, that was when I first realized for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, this is what's wrong with me. Right. And
right, because you just keep going. You don't even talk about it. And
you don't know. You just keep going. You keep the throttle down and you do whatever you got to do to keep going. And that involves, self-medication for a lot of people. And it's just, it's a roller coaster and it doesn't help.
No. And I think one of the key pieces is that awareness and acknowledgement, and for different people to come out and share. It's not easy. And so thank you for sharing that with us, Dugan. And I think you and I connect on lots of levels, the passion, the entrepreneurial spirit. We get inspired by these entrepreneurs. We're passionately or helplessly wanting to help. But I too had a concussion. And so you and I both related, and maybe that's why our conversations go a little sideways sometimes too. But we do have some fun. So thank you for sharing that, Dugan.
Yeah, it's I'm really lucky in that I've been able to recover to some degree from the challenges that I've faced. So for me, that's a big part of any support that I try to give to the clients that we work with. And unfortunately, it's a little out of scope of the programming. However, the first conversation that I have with any of our clients is what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Brilliant.
And understand that as you grow into business, what you're doing now will not be sufficient to manage the additional stresses of invoices, suppliers, receivables, payroll, taxes. So we have to really focus on maximizing our self-care and taking care of ourselves within our days every day. And business isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, and really it's a marathon every day, like every day from the moment you wake up until the moment your eyes finally close at night, and then even long beyond
even
that,
when you're sleeping cases, you're still
it's still going. So you have to prioritize self-care and some peaceful, quiet time, whatever that works for you. I happen to practice meditation, and I'm a parent now, so I don't get too much outdoor recreation, although, it's different now. I just, get to the playground with the kids every day. Try to, right? You really have to prioritize that. So that's kind of my first message to any entrepreneur that's coming into our program. Like, let's look at this piece first, and then from there, we'll start on the nitty gritty.
I love that.
So I wanted to bring Nina into the conversation. She's the other laugh that you've been hearing all along throughout the episode. And Nina, you've got a slightly different take on the program as a coach in the program. So let's bring you in, and why don't you share a little bit about how you got involved and what do you do as a coach with this program?
Hi, guys. I've worked with Community Futures as a coach for, Dugan, how long has it been now? Maybe 6 months?
I think closer to a year even.
Time
flies, right?
Time does fly. This year's
Yeah.
been odd,
Yeah.
so I have no concept of time anymore. But I was brought on as a marketing consultant coach, and I help clients with their website design and their online marketing and what that might look like, and coach them through that process. So there's training involved in there. Especially you need to have control over your website at times. Like, you can't just leave it to other people to blog simple updates. You want to be able to do that kind of work. And it's really important, even if you're setting up a store, that kind of thing, to be able to upload your different products, descriptions, that kind of thing, especially for a startup entrepreneur that may not have those funds set aside to just pay an agency or a website designer to handle all of it. So that's worked out really well. I've worked with 2 clients now, and it's been a pleasure working with Community Futures. I can tell you that. It's been a pleasure working with Dugan. And I really enjoyed hearing your story again, Dugan, of how you relate. And I think that's one of the reasons the program's so successful, is because you're talking to somebody that's been through this, that's been through the startup process, that is an entrepreneur, has the entrepreneurial mind, and then also can relate to dealing with health issues or mental health issues, whatever that might be, because sometimes you do feel like it's all in your head to have to talk to somebody else that's been there, has been through that process. It's really nice, and it's very genuine. And then I think that's what it comes across with Dugan and with working with Community Futures. I feel like they're just such grassroots. That's what it feels like to me when I've worked with them. And I know for the clients we've worked with, it's been an amazing resource, very helpful in moving them forward.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole point of this whole podcast, is for, just to demystify the world of business and make it more relatable. And, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the startup, the launch phase, and, Rita's got the depth of experience in finance, and, Nina, you've got the depth of experience in marketing, and, we all work together to kind of support. It takes a village. It takes a village. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that whole village concept, we're just bringing it back, is not just a collaboration, but it's also the support for each other and one another, and allowing us to take a moment to acknowledge today's not a good day, Dugan. We're going to have to take a moment here. And we do that and take that time for one another to be able to help us move forward. If you don't allow for that moment, you won't be able to get any work done. So we always do take that moment to respect one another and move forward. So thanks, Nina, for sharing a little bit about the coaching process. So I just have to say, Dugan, is Nina a good coach? What do you think?
Loaded question.
Oh God. Well, it's great. It's what's really neat is how we can all work together, So for example, with a marketing plan, everybody needs to get to market, right? So, I can do some initial work with the client, get those concepts of branding and customer avatars and key messages, images, etc. Really get that foundational knowledge. So then when you go to work with an agency, because you can't manage Facebook, Google, Instagram, all of these ad platforms, they change every week. So if your hands aren't on the tools every day, you need to outsource that. However, you need to have the foundational knowledge to know that the person that you're hiring is doing a good job. So if we can do some foundational work, then the client works with Nina for a while to get that next, set up really tight build out of everything. And then from there, between the three of us, we're able to onboard with, agency contacts or other support. So it's really, yeah, it's a foundational level of support that sort of grows incrementally. And as the client works through their processes, more and more supports are available. Again, if they don't have the money, we can access financing for that. And again, by doing this foundational work, it really de-risks that venture. So we wouldn't, access financing to build the website and build the campaigns and stuff. But once the website's done, there's a good conversion funnel there. Then it's kind of an easy ask to just turn up the volume with some paid traffic. So by doing this foundational work, it really de-risks the process for everybody. And so that collaborative approach is really important to us. So I think that's why we all get along, because we just like working with each other. And like you said, Rita, every time any of us talk, it's a check-in first. How are you doing? What's going on? Oh, God, yeah, I know what that's like. And yeah, and so that's the first part. And then we can go on to be of service to others, right? Once we take care of ourselves. And that's how we do it, by laughing and joking and having a good time with each other. Absolutely. And sharing real stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on something really important there, Dugan, is that, the coaching and training part is so important because you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So how does an entrepreneur that has no experience in the world of social media or website design, how do they hire somebody when they don't even know what questions to ask? Mm-hmm. So this part is really imperative in building that foundation and then moving forward. So you give them some tools, some knowledge, some of the language, even translating those words that they might not know. What does that mean? And then you go forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the great part, Dugan, is you do that in a few, I love that word language, Nina, is you do that in a few different languages in the business. And one of the other languages is finance. So you help people understand the base of finance and help them through that process. And when it's time for them to work through, growth and scalability, and then I get to come in and add that support. So you are building a foundation, you're building a collaborative network or team of advisors around to surround these entrepreneurs. And then between all of us, we get to say, let's go. We're ready to go in for future funding in step 1, step 2, step 3 levels. And it's great. So, wow, that hopefully helps people understand a little bit more about Community Futures, the entrepreneurship with Disability Program, and a little bit more perhaps about the guy behind the scenes. So he's not just that government worker. He's one of us, everyone. He's one of us, a complete entrepreneur with the entire nutter behind him as well. So we're all in this together. And I hope that you've had a chance to learn and feel a little bit more connected, perhaps a little bit more inspired with Dugan and the team at Community Futures. Thank you.
Thanks, Rita. You summed that up so nicely. And Dugan, it's always a pleasure. I did have one last question. I was wondering if somebody's listening to this podcast and they're interested in learning more about the program, what are the steps in getting involved? Is it complicated? Is it, because I'm on the advisor side, so I don't quite know as an entrepreneur how I would approach this. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, thanks, Nina. It's I would it's basically you go to communityfutures.ca/EDP, so Entrepreneurs with Disabilities Program. There's a form there you fill out and then away you go, right? It's literally one box that you check. Are you someone that, has an ongoing physical or mental health challenge? Check. You don't have to disclose anything. There's a opportunity to disclose the disability if it requires some additional accommodations. Like, for example, if you have a visual impairment, then we'll communicate by phone. If you have an auditory impairment, then we'll communicate by text. So if it makes sense to disclose, you can, but you don't have to.
Got it.
So
Got
I,
it.
I, I sort of stumbled a little at the beginning because I don't want to belittle the process. I mean, I know government forms are triggering for a lot of people that have, been churned
Mm.
through the system all their lives, right? So I don't want to diminish that is a thing. So yeah, we try to meet our clients where they're at and make it as easy as possible. So there's kind of a short form that you start with, and then a longer form where you put a little bit more information just about your experience and your business idea. Um, so we do have like we're always kind of creating new programs and developing new ways to support clients. So um, you come in through, everybody kind of comes in through the front door, or actually, a lot of the advisors and coaches, make recommendations and stuff. So
Mhm.
most of our clients come from referral these days. When I came on with the program, the idea was, build this network, build the village, build the website, build the CRM, start a big marketing campaign, and
Mm.
drive traffic into our funnel. And by the time we had sort of done those first pieces, we were like completely inundated with interest. I mean, like people need help, right? It's you
Absolutely.
can't do this on your own. So
100%.
yeah. So it's fill out a form, check a box, and then if
How
you're in,
long does that process take? So like from if I,
ugh,
hit submit, once I
yeah.
get through the government form filling.
Yeah, and we are funded by federally. However, we're not really so again, like I don't that old quote, I wouldn't be part of any organization that would have me as a member, right? But Community Futures is a kind of an interesting anomaly. Like we are funded by the government, but we are not the government. Like we
Mhm.
are just our program director calls us the Hotel California for people with big hearts. So,
Oh, I love
everybody
that.
at Futures, where it's volunteer boards, it's all business people that manage. So it's we're an anomalous program, very warm, welcoming, and yeah, it's a nice place to be, really. I've never been involved with an organization like this. So yeah, so you fill out a form, you'll get a kind of a welcome. There's just a little bit of that kind of stuff, right? Welcome email with the longer form, then you'll get sort of matched up to an advisor. So I work with clients in the urban centers. We have another EDP advisor for clients in the rural areas. We have another advisor for Victoria. So just sort of depending on workload, you'll get matched to me or someone like me. And then yeah, there's a couple of like an intake kind of call conversation just to figure out what you're working on, where you're at, where you're stuck, how can we help. We'll come up with a coaching plan around that to kind of get over whatever mountain you're about to start climbing. And then really we've gotten better at this. Like we've been doing this. I mean, the EDP program has been running rurally for 20 years, and then in the urban center just for a year and a half, I guess. So,
Mhm.
we've kind of stewed it down. Like these are, it's sales and marketing, finance, operations. Those are kind of the main stumbling blocks that people kind of hit. And so we've got a network to support through each of those steps. So it's pretty neat. So how long does it take? It's kind of like how long is a piece of string, right? Like it's really a lot of it is on the entrepreneur. Like this is what's next.
Sure.
Get
Yeah.
back to me if you need help. And then it really depends. Like we work just, with the client where they're at and try and tailor the support and with them. So intake process can be a week or two of kind of checking boxes and forms and stuff. But then once you're kind of connected with a human being on the other side, and it's that intake part is really just finding you the right human, right? So once you're connected and in the program, then it can kind of move along at whatever paces works for you, right? A lot of people have a day job to support their entrepreneurial venture, or they're already, you know,
Yeah.
over their heads in their business and, trying to make time to get the systems in place that they needed from the beginning. So it's really, yeah, we work with people where they're at and just try and meet them where they're at and provide the help that they need. So it's pretty flexible and tailored.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think one of my clients said it was about a month from the time they filled out the form to getting matched with an advisor, or maybe slightly longer. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like I say, we experienced a good deal of success right out of the gate, and so
Yeah.
it was just like, wow, how do we? And
Yeah.
then, COVID hit, and it's like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
that one was crazy.
So
Yeah.
we've brought in some additional, like we've grown the program because it was just little old me, with a population of 3 million people. It was like, wow. So yeah,
Wait, you needed help with that?
yes.
No, that's amazing. I think it's nice that you don't need a referral, that an entrepreneur can just go apply. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. communityfutures.ca/EDP, or you just go on communityfutures.ca, and under the services section, there's entrepreneurs with disabilities. The form is, if you scroll down the page, there's some other buttons that
we'll link it to the podcast page.
Yeah. So it's just tell us about yourself. Where do you live? What are you working on? How can we help? And away we go. So yeah, it's depending on workloads, we're trying to get the response time closer to a week or two than a month, but we're doing the best we can.
So I just wanted to say thank you again, Dugan and Nina, for sharing some time today. And I hope that everyone in our audience has had a chance to learn just a little bit more about Dugan and the Community Futures Entrepreneurs with Disability Program. Some just key takeaways. I'm just going to kind of quickly go around and say, Dugan, is there something you wanted to quickly fire off as some quick notes or tips that you wanted to share with entrepreneurs?
Oh boy. Well, yeah. Let's see here. Quick takeaways. I mean, don't be afraid to come and get some help. Like if this program was available, when I was grinding away, the outcome of my entrepreneurial endeavors would have looked a lot different. And that's really like the barrier, is just putting up your hand and saying, I need a little extra help. And guess what? Help is here. Like, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. When I came on, I was like, either hire me for the role or I'll be your first client. Like, whatever. Let's
pick one,
do this,
but you're taking me in. I got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just don't let your head get in the way of what you're trying to do, right? And that goes a lot, beyond just this program. Like, just get help with wherever you're stuck. If it's ask for help, and help will come.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you, Dugan, for that. Nina, do you have something that you wanted to share? Just a quick takeaway for us as well, for the audience.
It was just a really inspirational podcast, and that there is help available. And I really feel like it's grassroots help. Like Dugan was saying, we're not the government, but we have some funding. And I think that part is really great. It's that somebody real to talk to, somebody that speaks your language, that can understand you, that's genuine. And for some people, like Dugan was saying, take that first step. It's really challenging to take that first step. I had a client who told me it took her half an hour to make a sales call, which I couldn't relate to because I can talk all day long. So, but I didn't really understand it, but it's the anxiety and the stress and whatever things you're dealing with. So take that first step, filling out the form. And I encourage people to do that. And they're just a wonderful organization that could perhaps help you or lead you in the next direction that you need to go. I also really love that they'll work at your pace. So it's not like you have to go through this program in 6 months, 3 months. So it's like setting you up with coaching with an advisor you need, and then getting you to the next step, and then getting you to the next step after that. So there's no timeline that can be intimidating or overwhelming.
I'm going to echo you there on that. My experience with Dugan and Vanessa and the rest of the team at Community Futures has been nothing short of there's real humans, they're real people, they're
Yeah.
not the typical government workers. And, just right from the very first meeting, Dugan, and all the way to now, I think we've come along. It's just an easy relationship, very comfortable. And for those that are unsure about even filling out a form, I know that Dugan would be available for you to just simply pick up the phone and call him. So when you're ready to do that, go ahead and just give him a call. We'll leave his direct phone number for you, as well as his email address. And like Dugan said, like Nina said, pick up or put up your hand. It's okay to ask for help. And, we wish that something like this was available for us years back. So thanks again, Dugan. And hopefully everyone has a chance to learn a little bit more about Community Futures Entrepreneurs with Disability Program. Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode from Serenity Now for Entrepreneurs, where Dugan and Rita explore the EDP program offered by Community Futures. Listening from outside of BC, Canada, programs like this may exist in your area as well. For more information on this program, check the description section of the podcast for links and resources. Maybe you know an entrepreneur who is a fit for EDP. Please share this episode with them and your community, as the goal of this podcast is to provide concrete resources for entrepreneurs in hopes of helping them obtain some serenity now.